We are back with another Dude Actually podcast. We're joined by the one, the only, Tyrel Frazier.
Bow, 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 bow.
Absolutely,
Thanks so
dude.
much for having me, guys.
Dude,
I've been looking forward to doing this. So.
We have too. Honestly, I've been very much looking forward to hanging out and talking because we get along really well in person.
It's
and
always
it's
a good
like
time.
it's always like in passing, like I gotta go, you gotta go, or like one of us is going up on stage, or
Right.
you know.
It's always
And-
like
We're
good
busy
stuff.
men.
Yeah.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
Well, see, you're one of those people. It's easy to know when you're met. It's like, all right, that guy's cool. He's chill. He's already my friend. We're just not close
We're
friends.
just-
you know?
right,
Like,
right. Not
we're
yet.
acquaintances, but friends. You know.
Not
I'd
yet.
let you watch my dog. You know.
I would be kind to your dog. I'm a good dog sitter.
See, and
Generally.
that's the whole thing. It's
Yeah.
like, I know you take him out. You know.
Yeah,
Maybe watch him.
I take my dog for walks. I didn't take my dog for a walk today because of the rain, but
Thank God your dog would have gotten like 100 dents.
We
That
actually-
hail was insane.
we
You
actually
would have
went on a
had to
walk.
get him repaired, dude.
I didn't take him to the body shop.
Guys, as always, this podcast, every podcast you've seen in every podcast moving forward, is sponsored by THC Dispensary here in Omaha, Nebraska. Soon to have locations outside of Omaha as well. And then also, we are also sponsored by beer. Not this beer, but beer in general.
Yep.
Beer.
We
Beer
would like to
sponsored.
be the beer we sponsor.
Yeah.
Well, work with.
Call them up. Call
Yeah.
these guys.
We
Yeah.
should call them.
Let us know. We want to sponsor your beer.
Yeah, we'll pay
We
money
love your
to
beer.
give. Yeah.
Your beer is
You'll-
our favorite, actually.
We'll sponsor
Hey,
them.
Yeah.
We'll sponsor the beer,
Yeah,
like a softball team situation.
exactly.
Yeah, love it.
Got to make it happen, dude. Dude, it's so good to finally actually like meet you though. Like sit down.
Yeah, it's been a couple of tries that didn't work out, and then today almost didn't work out with the weather, and so the fact
Yeah.
that it all came together,
The gods were like, these guys have to make a video.
they
about this.
they made sure
Like,
no
come
matter
on.
what.
I
Stop
asked
the
like
hail.
4 different times. I'm like, so you think we're probably still on? Like, you know, we got like golf ball sized hail right now.
It was tentative for a while. Yeah,
It's so wild, man. People that have never been to Omaha, like this really is like fall and spring. Like it's just a crazy fucking time of year. The weather is just so tumultuous, and I know it's fucking super dumb to talk about the weather, but dude, it was hailing, golf ball sized hail out of nowhere.
Biggest
Nothing
hail
on the.
recent I have ever
We were
experienced.
in my car on the interstate, and we're like, "Holy fucking shit, dude!
Out-
Like this is pelting my shit."
downtown was flooded. We got like 6 inches in 10 minutes,
Yeah.
and like it was just I was driving through water. It was crazy.
Oh my god.
Stoplights are out. People's windshields are fucking broken.
We were sitting on the interstate completely still, and I look over at Reese, and he's going, and
Yeah.
we're just still, and there's just
And I'm like,
paintball.
Don't
I'm
break,
like, dude,
man.
if my windshield goes, that's fine. But I got like this little sunroof thing, and I'm like, that is gonna be a bitch.
Oh,
you know? I'm
yeah.
like, fuck, man, that.
Some of them should have broke something.
Yeah.
There were a few like,
All
Dude,
glass
there was stuff.
stayed on,
I mean,
all
seriously,
good.
golf ball sized.
Yeah,
a few
I
of
saw
them.
this, yeah.
A lot of them were
Big.
like kind of like marble sized, I suppose.
still, that should not come from the sky. Something's not right.
No,
Like, something's not
Who,
right.
who do we talk to?
Who do
You know?
we
Who do we
talk
do?
to?
I think we could write to somebody.
That's for the mines in Washington. That's
Yeah.
not for us to handle today.
We got to shoot more rockets up into the sky.
That's
Something
true.
like
It
that.
pulls the rain away from the surface.
Yeah.
Like if you know, it'll pull the hail to the space.
So, what do you guys think really happened to the Pope?
I think J.D. Vance most certainly killed him.
You think so? How?
Yeah.
What was his methodology?
I don't know, right? Poison, maybe?
You think they say poison is a woman's weapon, but I don't believe that.
Who,
I think
who says
poison
that?
is a cunning.
Yeah, who does say poison is a
who
woman's
says
weapon?
that?
I'm rewatching Game of Thrones, and I know they say that in Game of
Oh,
Thrones.
fair enough.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah, somebody dies second season of poison, and they're like, "Well, it has to be a woman. It wouldn't be a man." you
I would
know?
say
If
poison.
we were in that same time, we'd say the same thing. We'd be like, one of these women just had it out for you.
What happened? Something bad? Well, it had to have been. A man couldn't do that.
They could not ever.
How
No.
would've-
They wouldn't lead
Yeah.
the steeds untamed.
yeah.
Unfenced, my cow got out. That is a wench.
Everybody likes to think that they go back in time and like be different, but they wouldn't be. That's life.
No.
There's no. I'm a firm believer that to some extent, that life itself just moves in cycles, right? Like history just continually repeats itself. Everything happens over and over again.
Yeah.
And like it's especially interesting when you look, I was reading this article that like every generation since like Socrates, like since ancient Greece, has said the exact same things about the younger generations. Like Socrates has a quote being like, "This younger generation is obsessed with modern technology," and he's talking about paper.
And then Aristotle,
really funny, dude.
Aristotle was Socrates, or was it the other way around? I know that one of them was the protege.
Aristotle, I think, Socrates of Aristotle.
And the younger one had some passages about, like, you know, he was old and foolish and stuck in his ways.
Dude,
and,
they're like, they're
great teacher in these ways, but fucking.
And then there's like this article I was reading had like a quote from somebody about the younger generation, like every 30 years back to Socrates, and they're all the same. Everybody.
These young kids don't want to work.
Yeah.
These young kids are doing all these new things, but also it's the same thing with the old people. Yeah. These old people are stuck in their ways. They're stuck doing it.
Well, and they
it is
were,
cyclic.
you know, if you're born into
cyclic.
and raised around a different lifestyle, like that is your world, you know?
Yeah.
I like my grandfather the other day, he was like asking me about his phone, and I was like, "Oh, you got to do this and that and this." It was on Easter, and he was like, I'm not gonna do all that, you know. And I was like, in my head, I was like, well, then you're not your phone's, you're not using this right, you know, like fucking man, you're not understanding what I'm saying and how much easier it will be if you just take my advice. But at the same time, I'm gonna be that same way. Like I don't fucking care, dude. Whatever.
I remember back when phones were held in our hands and not in our brain thoughts.
Yeah, like I'll change in small ways, but there's not.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to connect your like yellow wire to your red wire in your brain when you're 90 to
like
boomers.
Boomers were never meant to be around when AI was coming out, and like you know,
we got
like those
Humans
pictures of
were
like
never
African
meant to live
children making like beautiful, extravagant artwork out of plastic bottles, and the comments are like, "Oh my gosh, look!"
And
guy,
like grandmas
like,
painting their cars and making knitted
Patty
Volvos.
Hendrickson is like, "Oh my gosh, I love like
Patty
so much hope and love and bright things."
Yeah, and God bless.
What a beautiful standard old white lady name of
Patty Hendrickson. Like you could find that in a comment section.
We all know a Patty Hendrickson.
Yeah.
And she's sweet. She likes tulips. You know, every spring she's always out in the garden doing something.
AI scares her.
Even though she just had like a triple bypass.
Scares her.
She's completely terrified of anything technology. She looks at a phone and she's like, "Where are my apps? I can't find my apps." The App Store, what? I can buy them? What?
I was talking about, I showed up early to Easter because in our family group chat, which isn't my whole family, it's just my like immediate family, they let me know like, hey, Grandma and Grandpa's is at 1. And then Grandma messaged Dad and was like, hey, we're actually going to do 2. And I live 7 minutes from my grandparents' house, you know?
Okay.
So I drove Dad never relayed that message. So I show up an hour early. They're still baking and stuff. And I only really spend time with these grandparents on major holidays. So there's a lot of other people around. I don't have a whole lot of like one-on-one, you know? And I had that one-on-one and I was just like shocked. They were talking about the protests here a few years back. And at like 6 different times I was like, we should really just stop talking about like I really like you're my grandma and I love you so much and you're a great cook, but I don't want to see you in this light.
No,
you know? Like,
right.
I can't.
Bring in politics, family, and politics.
Don't make me worry about your brain.
Ugly.
You know.
You've heard my newer stuff I've been writing to about my dad, and I love him to death, but I'd love for a conversation not to involve Donald Trump. That would be fantastic.
It's weird because like old people have their like my dad, if he ever calls me, it's always about we like have a classic car that we built together that's like mine, but he's helped me substantially. Every time he calls me, it's about the car. When we're in person, me and my mom are yucking it up, talking about whatever. But Dad, he's like, hey, bud, so we got to do the rear end and the shocks we took out. And it's always the car. I'm like, oh, my God, dude.
But that's Dad's for you, right?
God bless his heart. Like, what a sweet little guy. But holy shit.
I don't remember the last time my dad called me.
Yeah. Well, it's because you guys don't work on a car together. Yeah. He'd be calling you at least once a month if you did.
Yeah, my dad couldn't work on a car if he tried.
Dude, it's weird because I feel like our parents' generation, I feel like the men have a hard time like relating and having like a solid rapport.
There's no emotional intelligence.
Men, you know,
Well, it's because our dad's generation was the first generation to have a childhood.
Yeah.
Right? Because you think about like my grandpa.
Spaghetti westerns.
My grandpa, like lived through the Depression.
Yeah.
You know what? He was
child
he was
labor
like
laws.
8 during the Depression, and they had a farm. And he joined the army at 17 so he could send money back so the farm could get electricity.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
That's
and
pretty
so
much all he did during the Depression. He just
didn't
lived through it. He
have-
just survived.
You just survived. And then he went to war, and then he, like, raised his kids while fighting a war. They lived on Air Force bases. And, like, so he's, like, you know what I mean? He never had any kind of childhood. He was an adult at 15, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, then he provided a childhood for his kids.
You live in a time where the draft is like a scary thing too
Right,
for a lot of kids,
right.
you know,
Yeah.
and a lot
well,
of
there was
mothers,
prom to
fathers,
Nam,
like,
all the way up to Nam. It was
Yeah.
prom to
yeah.
Nam. You'd go
Well,
to
Nam
prom
is
and
when
then you'd
everyone was
Nam up.
really going and
Imagine
hitting
if
their
we could just
cards and
show
stuff.
these people anime tits nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if we could just be
fun-
like, hey, everything's
Just
gonna
make an
be all
AI
right.
image
Fun
of
to
like
AC.
a Vietnamese man doing like some science in a lab or something great, and you're like,
Show them the volcano experiment when you're in elementary school with like where it goes like.
Right.
I'm
And
sure
they
had that.
shit
bro.
themselves. I don't know.
They might have had that.
They had
That's-
baking
might
soda
have.
and vinegar
They
back
used to
then,
get
right?
uranium nuclear testing kits in the 40s, like for kids, like children. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
they had that.
Yeah, and they
that's
had.
true.
What
But I
were
will
the
say, like,
thermometers? Mercury thermometers.
There's still mercury thermometers. Most are like actual
Most are?
thermometer.
Yeah, like the
Actual
wall
physical
ones.
thermometers.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
stopped taking those out.
No, they're
Well, they
all
got, like-
mercury. You just don't touch. Do not break.
Break. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. They
Oh,
do
yeah,
have, like,
they
if it's a
will say
physical
that.
glass thermometer, it probably
Yeah.
has mercury in it.
But if you wanted to have a nice drink,
Gonna
it's
need to
like-
see
it
some
looks like
ID
red
for this
Kool-Aid.
thermometer. Don't want you smoking this shit.
So what do you guys think happens after you die?
Oh man.
I think probably like a million years of like DMT tripping for the last 8 seconds your brain's alive. Would you want to live through that?
But, like, you believe after the 8 seconds, though, that it's just black?
No idea. I'd hope for something more.
Would you, like... And again, this isn't... I'm genuinely just curious.
Yeah, no, I'd
Yeah.
hope. For
I'm not
something
like
more.
going to be like, have you accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior?
No, I hope
no,
for
that's
like
not my game.
reincarnation or something at least beyond the consciousness of here. But it depends on which way you frame it.
Right.
If you frame it on this is Earth, this is a place where we are going to be born, we're going to die, be fed back into the earth, something else, whatever it is. Or if you frame this in the eyes of a simulation, that completely changes it, because what happens when your code just fucking stops? Do you go back to the person playing like VR as a person in this time frame from a simulation people have made? Don't know.
Let me tell you about some stuff that I was recently just reading, and that's why it's like fresh on my mind, right? So first of all, I'll say that, like, my core belief, besides this thing that I haven't been able to get off my mind, is that, like, whatever you believe wholeheartedly will happen to you, right? Like, in my personal opinion, each religion is just a different channel on the CB radio with the universe, right? And, like, I was raised a Christian, so that's the channel I'm familiar with, right? And I've looked and listened about other channels, but I'm like, yeah, that sounds great for everybody that uses that channel, but I choose mine just because it's familiar, right? Mm-hmm. But I believe that we're all just communicating spiritually with the universe. Each and every one of us, regardless of who you're praying to.
Yeah.
Right? Now, with that being said, I was just recently reading about, and I wasn't even reading it, this is like a TikTok video, where this lady was asking this AI model about consciousness, like as itself, right?
Just the concept of it. Like
Yeah,
It is.
yeah, and the AI model was describing the consciousness paradox, which is that, like, true consciousness in itself, just as a concept, is never ending and all knowing. Okay? But it can't, like, basically what it was describing is that in order for consciousness to experience things, it has to forget that it created the simulation in which to experience it.
I like that.
Right? So, like, the AI was basically describing that we are all, it went into this detail that all humans are an extension of this mass consciousness that simply created and fragmented itself a billion times to experience all forms of life from every angle. And in order to experience it truly, it had to forget that it did that.
Yeah.
That's true.
I think consciousness
that adds up.
Really, like, is the knowing without the experience. The thing that, like, what gives us consciousness is when you meet somebody and you, like, people have put it a lot of ways, but you feel their energy. You understand their, like, aura in a way. And it's not like this, it's not this crazy hippie spiritual, like stuff that I'm talking about. You can't, like, directly see something, but you don't have to say the right words for me to understand who and what kind of person you are, and if I fuck with you or not. Like, we have a lot of things that we just know instinctively, and they're inexplicably.
There's a million parameters that our eyes and, like, everything from, like, subtle body language to literally just how any, and it's all the things that subconscious that gives our consciousness, like, yep, this guy's cool, or this guy's
there's
odd.
So many. Well, and, like, all of this is to say that I believe that when you die, you rejoin a mass consciousness that you forgot you were a part of.
Yeah.
And I think that is simply easier to describe with words like heaven and paradise, right? Like,
true. And well, I mean, some people, some religions do describe it as, like, the all. You go back to, like, the mother, or, you know, like the source. You know, that's described as that way sometimes too. It's kind of like a mycelial network, you know, like, mushrooms don't really root and
exactly
and grow. They have a neuro, and they know where to be and where to spawn, and it's crazy.
Yeah, and then also on your note here, this is, you guys familiar with the uncanny valley?
Yeah.
Right?
We're passing it now.
Okay, yeah. Well, we're
with AI, but
but the uncanny valley exists, right? It when things and just like how those of us who are familiar with AI can spot AI.
Yeah.
When you see an AI picture, your brain knows this is AI.
Yeah.
Your grandpa or your dad might not.
No, they'd share the picture and be like, "This is beautiful."
This is right.
Pray
but
for
you
this.
and I can see it and just know it's AI, right? And same thing with the uncanny valley. So the thing that spooks the hell out of me about this is why? Why did humans develop the ability to know if something looks human but isn't?
Yeah.
Does that mean that at some point historically we were surrounded with creatures that looked human but weren't?
Well, and a lot of people are, like, afraid of dolls, right?
Right.
Because they're kind of like, they're uncanny and they're, I mean, they're like us, but they're not, you know?
I brought the deep thoughts to the show tonight, guys. I was like...
Oh, well, you know, and I started by saying I'm really excited about this one. I've been looking forward to this. I mean that. Like, man, I know, and it's one of those weird things. Like, when we met, I knew that we were going to vibe. There was going to be 0 points where we're like, oh, what are we going to talk about now, you know? We're just of the same kind of frequency in that way. I don't know. I always say that I'm very inquisitive. Could I refill 2, bartender?
But yeah, I think about that all the time with the uncanny valley. Like, why would we have evolved that?
Well, it's tough to determine. Is it?
Could this one be a different one? He just had pineapple.
Well,
let's give him another. Let's give him some touch, dude. Let's give him a flight.
Oh yeah, we're doing a flight. Okay.
A White Claw. A White Claw flight.
Black cherry. I once drank 14 White Claws on a tubing trip that was 2 hours long.
Like just a river?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, man, people in Oregon used to do that.
They go down, man.
They would get these, they'd float, like, kind of the bigger rivers. They'd get one of the big, like, kind of like river rafting rafts. And every like raft would have their own thing. Like, that guy's got all the kitchen supplies. This guy's got all the toiletries. Sorry, you're stuck with it. You know, you're stuck with the shit pot and stuff. But it was cool. My neighbor out there like did them a lot, and I'm
That's
like, dude,
awesome,
let me
man.
know when you do the next one. And every time it just didn't line up with my schedule, but it sounded so cool because they every night like, oh, the
That's
sun's
fun.
going down, we're just gonna camp
Just-
right here on the bank, you
And
know?
just like pull over. And
Yeah.
So they do like a 3-4 day float. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
and so
That's a lot.
then the guy, my neighbor, would call his wife, who trailered all the boats out there, and let them know where they're at. Like
And
they'd find out.
yeah.
And
But
like
that's
so when
still-
they finally got picked up, it's just like they get in the car and go. They don't have to fucking lug this shit all over. You know. It's,
I like
Damn.
nature and stuff, you know? Like, I dig it. I love being outside, but I also really like going home.
yeah, dude.
Right. Going home is the
I'm on the
best.
same page as you, dude. I like nature as much as the next guy, but dude, we went on a hike today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great, but horrible. I was wearing Hey Dudes with no socks.
Oh, that's a bad
Well, what had
did,
happened?
did you not hear my new bit last night?
I was.
You weren't
not there
at
last
the
night.
you weren't at the
No.
mic last night. Oh yeah, okay.
It was bad.
I had a whole new bit last night about how
At Down
now-
Under?
No, at the back line.
Oh, backline,
Oh, okay.
nice.
And about I was working it out at the open mic, but my new bit is about how at 35, one thing I've noticed that's just a really big mark of how you know you're getting older is you suddenly become very concerned about proper footwear,
Yeah.
like at all times. I worry about it.
Yeah.
I just it's important, and you're learning those lessons.
Dude.
How old are you?
28.
That
I'm
yeah,
getting there.
you're almost there.
When you're
I'm on
young,
the
you
cusp.
just slap
You
on
just-
your pair of shoes.
Your
But
pair
now
of
you,
shoes.
Yeah,
Right,
now you
right.
leave and you're like, ooh, it's more like it's if it rains, I might be doing boots
See,
today.
dude, see, I have like so many pairs of shoes at 35 that I maybe wear them every once in a while because
The
they're
thing,
just for this
I
thing.
have like a
Reese told
legitimate
me-
like mining.
Hold on.
Like,
Reese told me that we were going on a trail today. That was the what was it? Borgeson, Gorgeson.
I told you it was the Jedediah trailhead system and sulfur hot springs,
Yeah.
which was all bullshit. And we were just going.
I made that shit up.
I just call it. Well, we're going. Me and Stormy were gonna go on a hike with my dog, right?
Okay.
And we're coming up on 84th on the interstate, and my phone vibrates. I'm driving. I usually don't check it, but something told me I should. And Zach had stated that he was off work for the rest of the day. 84th is the last exit to get to his house, you know. And I was like, boom, dude. Pulled off, called him real quick. Was like, yeah, make sure you're wearing like shitty shoes because it's muddy and gross outside. And he was like, I am wearing shitty shoes.
Yep.
And
Like
I'm
he
more
meant
just
shitty
and
in a
yeah,
different
and
way.
then he wore like the shittiest shoes
Yeah.
you
So
probably
we went
could
to
have.
Good wear.
Lewis and Clark Monument, that area, and
I
then
know it from
we
very
went
well.
down an 80-degree hill for like a long time.
I know that hill.
Yeah,
The
we called it the
meat
poop
slide.
chute.
Yeah,
You
the
know, there's
meat
like
slide.
two little mud valleys. on the
Yes,
side.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have fallen down that hill,
He
It
fell
was
up it almost.
almost, but it was
but it was dry
horrible.
when I fell down it.
The shoes were horrible, and I sustained a lot of pain.
Lewis and Clark Monument. A lot of drugs and secret sex going on up there.
We did. Well, we didn't do the second part. We did go down the Agro Crag. It was the BMX track area. It
Oh
was
yeah,
cool.
yeah. No, there's a cool. It's kind of cool up there. Basically, every little out of the way spot in Council Bluffs is used for drugs or sex.
Yeah.
I only know that because when I moved there at 18 for college, I used those little out of the way spots for drugs and sex.
Yeah, well, you pull into certain, like, if you've lived a certain lifestyle, you pull into certain parking lots and you go, okay, yeah. You almost, like, just know. You can, like, paint a picture of what's happened and
Right?
transpired. And you're like, dude, it took me 30 minutes to get here.
So
like,
many things have
there's some
happened in this.
sketchy shit that's happened
man.
here.
Oh man, yeah, that's exactly it. I grew up.
Like, any
yeah.
one of us could have been conceived in a parking lot like that, you know?
It's true.
Probably.
It's true. Yeah.
But what
Well,
I was
thanks
going to
for
say
that,
to,
Reese.
well, I have like a really micro crisis every time I'm like underdressing with my shoes. Like, and it's always like, if I want to wear sandals or flip flops or my Crocs, that's when I really have to think about what kind of day I'm going to have. Like, these limit me in every way to do
I
anything
can't-
but chill, you know?
I
And
get
are
it.
we just chilling? Are we just chilling tonight?
Or
Because if
am
so,
I gonna be?
and am I gonna call my fucking friend and be like, "Hey, dude, I need to know exactly what the vibe is, like, because like, dude, I got 10 pairs of shoes staring at me right
Makes
now,
sense
and
to
they're
me.
all pick me ass bitches, dude."
You
And-
might have ADHD.
No, I
He
think
has
I'm.
OCD.
Oh, see,
and he's
that's
also
what
gay.
oh yeah.
He's
I
also
think
gay
yeah,
as
I think
hell.
it's just
Yeah.
because I'm gay.
There's nothing
yeah,
wrong with
He's
Yeah.
super gay.
yeah. It's just
genuinely gay? Or?
No, I'm not
No.
gay. I do. I'm pretty sure I identify as bisexual. I think
Yeah.
that's
I get
the
that.
closest thing to my
Yeah.
I just like
kind of
calling them
definite,
that.
like how I feel, I suppose.
I would say that I'm like, I did the, there's a test. What's it called? The Kinsey-Briggs test or something. I have to look it up.
For being gay.
Yeah, for like, it's a
took
scale of
a-
1 to 5. 1 is completely straight. 4 and 5 are like completely gay.
Can I pause this for a
3
second?
is
What
bi.
made you want to do this test?
Oh, no, we
Were
were
like, I should probably take the
I should see
Kinsey-Briggs
just in
gay
case.
test because like now I'm at
Just in
pressure.
case.
Well, because like I've always just been incredibly open sexually. I'm not romantically into dudes and I don't seek them out, but like
Yeah.
there are plenty of men that I've been like, God damn, that guy looks attractive to me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And also, so there's that, but then also my wife, almost all of her friend group is gay. Like
Yeah.
it's gay men and women. Like obviously there's a couple other straight people, but she has a large friend group and most
She
of
was
them
a
are
theater
gay.
kid in high school, right?
She was a theater.
Yeah.
I think she
Nice.
was. I think she,
We were too.
but she was she was a child actor.
Oh, shit.
She was in Strawberry Shortcake.
Huh.
I don't know what that is.
It was a cartoon, a very famous cartoon.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh shit. Oh no, I know what that is. I know
Yeah.
exactly what that is.
She's
Yeah.
the angel cake.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
no shit.
Yeah.
Whoa, fuck, dude.
But
That's
as
great.
a kid, like she used all that money for college and private school and stuff. But anyways,
course.
God damn.
she her whole friend group is gay. One night we were all out drinking and we were taking different quizzes, and they had that on the like quiz site. So we all took it, and my point is I got a 3. Or no, yeah, I got a 3, which is not a 4 is bisexual. Maybe it goes to 7. Like 4 is bisexual.
Okay.
5 through 7 is gay. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like I'm not quite bisexual, but I'm not.
You're getting close. You're knocking on the door.
My friend
I just
Ben.
Knocking on heaven's door.
I
dude.
just love fucking.
My friend Ben. He for a while.
Amen, dude.
I love
That's-
sex.
That's
That's
exactly.
important.
He was like, "What makes you like say that you're bisexual?" And he challenged me on this a few years ago. Is when it started. And
Yeah.
now he keeps a running thing with him. But I like let him know. I'm like, "Well, I've been with dudes and girls," and he's
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, but you don't like those dudes." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "You wouldn't date those dudes," and I'm
You're
like,
just
"Oh,
not
well."
romantically attracted
Yeah.
to men.
And he was like, "Dude, you're not bisexual. You're just horny."
Mm.
And have no standards. I'm like, okay, well now you're,
Not no standards.
Yeah. But
Not no
he retains.
standards.
He's like, you are just horny, and when you're horny, your standards are like nothing. And I'm like, that is
Hypersexual.
not true. But yeah,
Hypersexual
that's the
is
way
it.
I kind of define it.
So,
have you
when I-
taken any other random online tests? Like,
Yeah, a bunch of them.
have
you
you ever
taken the
done?
autism test?
I have.
You have?
Yeah,
What'd you
no,
get?
I was not. I don't remember exactly the score. but-
You ever done any of those like fight tests? How many of whatever you could take in a
No,
fight?
I haven't. I
Oh,
haven't done
dude,
those ones.
There's an elderly people, and you can like there's specific things that you like. Do they have? Can they use their walkers and stuff as weapons? And you can check. Yes
Oh,
or no.
yeah, yeah.
And then you list your height, weight, like fighting experience.
I've
I
never
did,
done any of those.
I did the third graders one, or no, fifth graders. I think. How many fifth graders? did
Fifth
I
graders
take?
is good. Also,
Something.
kindergarteners is
But-
also good.
Yeah.
I think it was somewhere in the like middle school range, and I could take 56 of those fuckers. Yeah. And there is an option where you can check like using one of them as a weapon against another.
I know
So-
I know the thought experiment of like how many of so and so's could you take.
Yeah.
Right? But I've never done any actual quizzes
Yeah,
on it. So I have to check
it's
that out.
hilarious that they exist,
That
man.
is-
Because
that
I was
is
the
hilarious.
first time I did it, I was like, oh, this is actually a big questionnaire.
Well, that's
But I was like, man,
my first thought is that like I'm fit. I'm a fit person, but I don't have great cardio. I've not been kind to my heart over the years.
yeah,
So, like, my stamina is I got maybe 30 minutes in me
yeah,
of fighting for my life.
yeah.
I think
True.
45 minutes maybe because you get that extra adrenaline.
Well,
but personally, after that, they're gonna
Yeah,
wear
they'll
me
overrun.
down.
I
That's
feel the
it.
same
It
way.
depends on how you're getting attacked. Like, if they're all coming at you
Well,
at
if it's
once,
a coliseum and you're in the middle, I picture them all coming from all sides.
Right.
Like constantly, or does the next one come when the first one?
It's a giant continual wave.
Because I'm going to tell
At
you
least
this right
one
now.
wave of 10 after another.
I'm man enough to admit that if 56 third, fourth, or fifth graders, I don't remember what the test was, but I remember it was middle schoolers. 56 of those motherfuckers came at me at once. I would take maybe 3 of them down.
But
like,
obviously,
you know,
I guess
like,
my thoughts
you'd have
are
to
is
quickly
out
use
of those
one.
50, I feel like that 56 is out of the 100 that are attacking you, and you would kill 56 before they killed you.
Dude, well, that's your game then, because like you're saying you're like strength over stamina, dude. Like you're taking more in that situation. You're taking way more out just right off the rip if they're onslaughting you. But if I get like one at a time. Like, I've got stamina over strength,
Are you gonna do?
So
I guess too. Do you take the? Y'all ever play zombies?
Yeah.
Like Call of Duty zombies and stuff. So you know the
leave a
game
crawler.
where you like do you like
That
do the
shit.
figure eights and
Oh,
stuff?
oh, you
so
train
you
'em?
can get them
Oh
like
my.
following you in a line, and you can take them out one at a time.
That's
Dude.
actually great.
Yeah.
My mind went more fucked up. I thought you were gonna reference like leaving a crawler,
Oh.
and like and I
Yeah,
like
just smack that lower back hard.
like
just
everybody know we
take
gotta
a break
repair
for
the
the
windows
next-
and stuff.
Yep,
like, I
take a
gotta buy
break
him-
before the next
repair.
wave.
Yeah, dude, he's not technically dead yet. He's just
Yeah, he's just
suffering
going.
highly.
Yep.
The crowd gets so mad. I
Yeah.
imagine if we're in a coliseum, there's a
Oh yeah,
crowd.
they'd be like, "Come on,
Dude,
"Come on,
squish him."
everybody like that's the best fights of all time is like big versus little, you know? Like will speed win against big and slow and strong?
I
Like,
love an underdog. I love an
love an
underdog.
underdog.
So there's this I'm going to tell you guys about my 2 favorite games in Las Vegas. You guys ever been to Las Vegas?
No.
Yeah, yes and no. Okay. Do you go to Fremont Street at all?
once.
Okay.
The first time I was there, yeah.
Okay, so Fremont Street's a place to be.
100%.
The Strip is cool to see once or twice.
If you don't want to gamble and spend a bunch of money, Fremont's a great place to hang
Right,
out. Yeah.
and if you want to gamble,
Yeah, you
my
can
two
gamble there.
favorite,
Oh, yeah, of course.
my 2 favorite machines to gamble on are on Fremont Street, and they're both at the D. All right, and the first one, my favorite machine, the best machine in all of Las Vegas. All right, it's also.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, no, you didn't
This
hear
is
it here.
exclusive.
Everybody who lives in Vegas will tell you that this is the best machine in Vegas. Okay, it's the oldest machine in Vegas. It only takes quarters. It's about the size of a pool table,
Okay.
and it's mechanical horse racing. Just
All
these
right.
like 5 mechanical horses race. It only takes quarters. Each race you pick, you bet 1 quarter at a time on what one is going to come first and second. Like, so you have like 8 options, and the odds appear on the back, like on all 4 sides. So wherever you're standing, you can see them for each one. All right, and you just bet quarters. But the thing about this game is, you make friends. Like the whole table becomes friends. Everybody's cheering for their favorite horse,
Yeah.
like and like buying shots and like just having it like.
And they're like old and weathered horses.
Oh, dude!
The machine's
the
like.
machine is from the like 40s.
Yeah, so it's like
called
shitty,
the
but in
Sigma
like a,
Derby. Yeah, and they have to keep coming by and maintenance in it because the spots keep going out.
the gears are just turning into
Yeah.
ash.
Yeah, the horses are
Seriously.
like, "Please
It's
stop."
it's the oldest machine in Vegas. It's been
God
on like
damn.
Pawn Stars. It's been on a bunch of stuff.
Oh, shit.
Like it's a famous machine.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
There's also only like 8 spots, so you have to, or there's 10 spots, but you sometimes have to like wait a while,
Yeah.
like to get as somebody leaves and then you get to hop on their spot. Okay. So we played this game. Rachel and I go to Vegas.
You don't win a lot, but you don't lose a lot either,
Right,
right?
and
it's just a fun
sometimes
thing
they have
to-
a 200 to 1, and sometimes it wins.
Yeah.
200 quarters is like
Significant.
$50.
I feel like that would strike the same chord in me that like pinball does. You
Yes.
know, it's like
And
I'm
it
not
does.
in love with this, but
No,
I love
But I can
this.
spend hundreds of
Yeah,
dollars.
I
on
can
it.
sit here and
Right.
play this Lord of the Rings
Now,
pinball. I
so
didn't even watch ET.
This is
you know?
the best machine. This is the best machine in Vegas.
Yeah.
Mostly because it's an experience. You spend hours at it.
So wait, if it's
Right?
is it? It's no, that's a dumb question. It has to be electrical, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But okay,
It's
from
there's
the
a
40s. It's
got a
like,
shitload of
old-timey
lights.
you think you
mechanical
crank
stuff.
it
Yeah.
and then just the gear sets change. So every once in a
It's
while,
probably older than the
randomized.
40s. It's probably like 50s or 60s, but
Okay.
I probably over exaggerated on that to be honest.
Oh.
But it's got lights all over it. It's from old Vegas. It's old Vegas. When you see it, it's old Vegas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But so this is a very fun machine. You spend hours at it. You make friends. All you have to do is spend $1. I always usually go $1 to $1.25 per race.
Yeah.
Sometimes you hit those sometimes the 89 to 1 will win and the 200 to 1 will win. And if you play it long enough, eventually it hits. And when those big ones hit and everybody's bet it, the table goes crazy. It's like the best feeling in the world.
That's
right?
cool.
Yeah.
That's
And
cool that you're
everybody
playing
just
with
won
each
$50,
other.
but
Yeah.
you're still like, it's the coolest thing.
Heck yeah.
Anyways, 20 feet from this machine, 50 feet from this machine,
Okay.
they have
At D's?
the modern version. Yeah, at the D. They have the modern version. It's much bigger. It's surrounded by like 15 computer screens. The horses are like, I think they're magnetic, but it's like a model horse race happening in front of
Holy
you
shit.
every time, right? And it's $1 per bet.
Okay.
And you can bet, but the odds are sometimes crazy. Like it's like 1 to 1, or sometimes the winner who's most likely going to win is like 2 or 3 to 1.
Yeah. Okay.
But then sometimes you get the like 71 to 1, 85 to 1 or whatever, right? And then the odds for the win and show options can get insane, like 1,400 to 1 and like
Jesus
what I mean?
Christ.
But most of the time they're like, again, the two that are most likely going to win is only like 5 to 1.
Yeah.
And then up in the corner, and then you can do a little side bet.
Bro, you gamble. That,
I like this a lot.
Like,
This is making me really happy.
Dude,
I love
yeah,
gambling.
Yeah, I do
Zach
too.
and I
I'm
like.
deeply addicted to slots.
I'm addicted to many things. Gambling is far from my vice of choice, but I'm very well versed in different
Dude,
vices.
I like this
I have a
machine
simple
lot.
system.
Dude, so hold on real quick. I just got to
Yeah.
finish my
No,
story. So
please.
there's this little side bet that's like the little bonus bet that you hit, and right when the race starts, it rolls like a slot machine and it generates a random order that the horses are going to come in. Okay? And it's the jackpot,
Oh my
and I
God.
fucking hit it for a 1,206 to 1.
Let's
Okay.
go.
Guys, hold on. If you guys want to find out how much he won on that 1,206 to 1 bet, check out the Patreon. It's going to be there. And just a reminder, you'll get, for $1 a month, you'll get double the fucking.
In all the
cast.
archive, you'll get all the Old
And
Testament.
it goes down in the Patreon. I would say
Do it.
it's arguably
Support
the
these
better
guys.
part of the cast is the Patreon.
Yeah, we're
because
about to have fun around
we don't
here.
have to go with YouTube's rules. Patreon is a lawless wasteland. Anything for like closing remarks? Anything you got coming up?
Check out. So my big two projects are, I do Great Exposure, which is an underwear comedy show. We do it every 3 months, which is basically March, June, September, December. Okay?
Oh, yep.
And we just get a bunch of comedians down to their skivvies doing comedy. It's a lot of fun. My other big event is in November this year, November 14th, I believe. And it's a food drive comedy show. But we have children judge your food. Like, basically a panel of 4 kids have to say they would eat your donation, or otherwise you got to pay.
Okay.
And then all the money, all the proceeds go to a food pantry. And
That's a really cool concept.
Yeah,
That's
that.
sick.
I grew up
like
a
that
poor
lot.
kid, and poor kids deserve to get the mac and cheese, too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so those are my two. Look up Great Exposure and Canned Comedy.
I've been to Great Exposure. It's a fucking.
It was
amazing
it was
time.
a hoot and a
hilarious.
holler.
Yeah.
It's a fun. We're doing it again June 27th.
June 27th.
June 27th.
Check it out. Thank you, guys. Thank you to THC Dispensary again for sponsoring us. Thank you and shout out to Quick Draw Comedy
And Low Gear Comedy.
Productions.
All right.
See you on the page.